Penis. In women, vaginal dryness due to reduced estrogen levels combined with less sexual activity can result in tissue depletion, thinning of the vaginal lining, and painful intercourse. Moreover, when the body is deprived of oxytocin, dopamine, and nitric oxide during intimate moments, nerve stimulation declines. Over time, the nerves in the pelvic area lose their sensitivity, leading to a loss of sensation and decreased pleasure. People involved in this cycle may develop feelings of discouragement, anxiety, and fear about intimacy, perpetuating a cycle of avoidance. This decline in sexual function also affects mental health, loss of confidence, feelings of inadequacy, and even depression. This impact becomes more profound when someone, like Mr. Edward, attempts to calm their feelings without finding a solution. His frustration created psychological barriers, which made the situation even harder to address. Numerous studies have shown that older adults who abandon sexual activity face greater difficulty in restoring function. Their ability to regenerate sexual tissue and increase blood flow is lower, meaning that even with medical treatments, such as hormone replacement or assistive devices, the effectiveness is not as high as for those who maintain regular activity. To prevent this decline, Dr. Carter recommends 1. Maintain gentle intimacy. Even if the intensity is not as it once was, a hug or a long kiss still stimulates the nerves in the pelvic area. 2. Practice Kegel exercises. Strengthening the pelvic floor muscles helps support blood flow and increase sensitivity. 3. Regular checkups. Visit a urologist or gynecologist to detect early signs of tissue atrophy or hormonal imbalances. 4. Open communication with your partner. Schedule gentle dates, share needs, and find solutions that align with your current health. In conclusion, sexual health is not a luxury reserved for the young. It is an integral part of a comprehensive health map that helps maintain confidence, connection, and energy for life. Ignoring it is like locking a door that could lead to the loss of joy, not only in intimacy but also in everyday moments. Remember, protecting your vitality is how you protect yourself from one of the most regrettable damages of aging. Finally, intimacy is not just a personal pleasure, but an essential medicine to maintain overall health as you enter your golden years. Neglecting this need not only weakens your heart and dulls your brain, but also robs you of the natural flexibility and immune resilience of your body. The good news is that you can completely reverse this trend by rekindling emotional connections and maintaining intimate moments with loved ones, starting today. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to like, share, so your friends and family can benefit as well. Make sure to subscribe to the Elderly Wisdom Stories channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss upcoming videos about tips for healthy, joyful living for seniors. And please leave a comment to let us know one thing you will do this week to protect your own life-saving medicine. We look forward to accompanying you on your journey to health in your senior years. Immunity, a consequence that is easily overlooked but significantly affects the body's ability to fight disease. First, let's listen to the story of Mr. Robert, a 72-year-old man who was once healthy, active, and hardly ever sick. However, after he and his wife reduced their intimacy, Robert began to suffer from frequent colds, a persistent cough, recurring flu, and a body temperature that struggled to return to normal after fever. Despite maintaining a balanced diet and regular exercise, he couldn't explain why his body seemed so fragile now. Dr. David Carter explains that intimacy doesn't just release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, but also triggers the immune system's strengthening mechanism. During moments of closeness, the body produces prolactin and immunoglobulin A, IgA, two key elements that help activate natural killer, NK cells, and essential antibodies, thereby increasing the body's defense against viruses, bacteria, and abnormal cells. On the other hand, when you neglect intimacy, you are essentially depriving the body of these natural medicines. As a result, the immune system weakens, NK cell activity drops, IgA levels in saliva and mucus secretions decrease, making it harder to block bacteria from entering the respiratory or digestive systems. You may immediately notice the early signs. Wounds heal more slowly. You are more prone to skin infections, and even minor injuries can lead to persistent inflammation. Therefore, to prevent consequence 5, Dr. Carter recommends 1. Re-establishing intimate connections. Dedicate time for small affectionate gestures, a hug, a kiss, even if you can't fully engage like before. 2. Enhancing immunity. Eat plenty of green vegetables, fruits high in vitamin C, zinc, and selenium, and combine this with breathing exercises and meditation to reduce stress. 3. Resuming an intimacy schedule, at least 1 to 2 times a week, so the body continually receives a dose of oxytocin and prolactin, boosting immune cell activity. Only when the immune system is strong can you effectively defend against the subtle threats of aging. Don't let your natural shield rust simply because intimacy is seen as an extravagant luxury. Maintain emotional connections to keep your body strong and vibrant. Continuing from the weakening immune system, we now explore consequence 6, interrupted sleep, which shows that intimacy also plays a crucial role in establishing deep restorative sleep. Margaret, a 75-year-old woman who has always been active, shares, "In the past, after a warm evening with my husband, I would fall asleep quickly and deeply, waking up refreshed. But recently, I constantly wake up in the middle of the night, my eyes wide open and unable to fall back asleep. Every morning, I feel exhausted, as if I never slept." Her insomnia not only makes her feel tired during the day, but also affects her overall health in the long term. Science has proven that deep sleep helps the body release important hormones to regenerate cells, repair stress-induced damage, and maintain immune function at optimal levels. Without the oxytocin and prolactin from intimacy to support this, the brain doesn't receive the necessary signals to relax, resulting in shallow sleep, frequent awakenings, and prolonged light sleep stages. The consequences are not just about feeling perpetually tired. Chronic sleep deprivation increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases like a silent blade cutting into the walls of arteries, and also exacerbates depression and reduces immunity, as the body does not have enough time to recover. A study published in the European Sleep Journal found that seniors who sleep less than 6 hours a night have double the risk of stroke compared to those who sleep 7 to 8 hours. So, what's the solution? First, reintroduce moments of intimacy, whether it's a hug before turning off the lights or a short conversation over a warm cup of tea. These moments of closeness not only warm the heart, but also trigger the biochemical mechanisms that help ensure a good night's sleep. Continuing after the effects on sleep, we now turn to consequence 7, declining sexual health, a silent consequence that often leads to the deepest regrets when it's too late. Let's begin by listening to the story of Mr. Edward, a 68-year-old gentleman whom I had the privilege of treating. Initially, Edward was confident in his ability to serve his wife weekly. However, after a few years of avoiding intimacy, he suddenly realized, "I never thought I would lose the ability at this age." That painful confession is a testament to how the body ages rapidly when it is not regularly activated. In reality, the reproductive system, whether male or female, is like any muscle. If it is not exercised regularly, it will atrophy, decrease blood flow, and lose sensitivity. In men, a lack of sexual stimulation over time can lead to erectile dysfunction, atrophy of genital tissue, and the loss of elasticity in the erectile tissues. Of the time you forego intimacy, you allow blood pressure to climb one more step, greatly increasing the risk of stroke, heart attack, and heart failure. Moreover, when the heart loses flexibility, you will immediately feel fatigue spreading, easily short of breath when climbing stairs, quickly exhausted while walking, or even just standing up and sitting down, becoming a challenge. With stiffened vessels and fluctuating blood pressure, the heart has to work overtime. According to a study published in the European Heart Journal, older adults who maintain sexual activity at least twice a week have a 50% lower risk of heart disease compared to those who have stopped engaging in intimacy. The most frightening part is that this progression is often invisible. There are no warning bells or clear initial symptoms, and you can easily attribute the fatigue to aging or simply overlook the warning signs. By the time the heart starts to lose rhythm, medical intervention can only limit the damage, but cannot fully restore the functions that have already declined. Therefore, to protect the heart, the eternal engine of the body, Dr. David Carter recommends setting a regular intimacy schedule, even if it's just for small moments of affection. Along with a balanced diet and proper exercise, maintaining intimate connections will help keep your heart strong, reduce the risk of events, and extend your lifespan. Remember, every time of closeness not only nurtures your relationship, but also serves as a precious medicine for your heart. Continuing from the cardiovascular consequences, the third impact, loss of stamina and reduced movement, highlights the extensive effects of abandoning intimacy on your entire musculoskeletal system. Intimacy is not just an emotional experience. It also triggers a series of subtle movements, from gentle caresses to the synchronized beats of the heart and muscles. When you stop sharing intimate moments, your body no longer receives this regular workout in the same way. This leads to a lack of activity throughout the body. Muscle groups that are not engaged gradually become weaker, joints become less flexible, and cartilage is more likely to suffer damage. A prime example is the story of Mr. William, a passionate golfer who used to confidently walk 18 holes without breaking a sweat. However, after just a few months of reducing intimacy with his wife, he noticed a significant difference. His swings became less powerful, his legs quickly lost balance, and even walking from hole to hole became challenging. From once being proud of his stamina, Mr. Williams suddenly found his muscles fatigued, his knee joints creaking, and he was forced to stop his golf game halfway through. Moreover, reduced movement leads to a host of other health problems: poor circulation, slowed metabolism, and even exacerbation of chronic pain conditions. Therefore, to prevent this process, Dr. Carter recommends combining gentle intimacy with endurance-building exercises, walking, yoga, or hip and knee joint stretches. Even small affectionate moments can stimulate body movement, contributing to the maintenance of strength and flexibility, essential elements for living fully and confidently as you age. Continuing after the depletion of stamina, we move on to the fourth impact: memory decline. Reflecting on the story of Mrs. Helen, an active woman who used to be so sharp that she could remember her entire to-do list for the day. But recently she found herself walking into a room only to forget why she went there, a warning sign that her brain was lacking important mental nourishment. When intimacy is maintained, your body releases a series of beneficial chemicals. Oxytocin, dopamine, and endorphins not only enhance the feeling of connection, but also stimulate blood flow to the brain, promoting neural activity and strengthening the formation of connections between brain cells. This process is akin to oiling the engine. The brain is continuously maintained, neural pathways remain flexible, and memory and cognitive abilities are kept at their peak. Conversely, when emotional connection is neglected, the brain lacks the necessary stimulation. A sudden drop in oxytocin slows down brain metabolism, and the hippocampus, the center for memory, gradually loses its ability to maintain and repair cells. The result is memory gaps, such as suddenly forgetting a loved one's name or getting lost when going outside. Statistics show that older adults who lack intimacy have up to a 40% higher risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. To prevent this, Dr. Carter recommends incorporating bonding moments into your daily routine: a heartfelt conversation, a hug before bed, or a kind compliment. These small gestures act as a medicine that keeps the brain alert, flexible, and preserves memory over the years. Continuing after the impact on the brain, we now explore consequence 5, weakening. It can accelerate when the brain lacks stimulation from oxytocin and other intimate activities. And perhaps most concerning, this chain of consequences occurs very quietly. You may blame work, age, or life circumstances without realizing that neglecting intimacy has triggered the collapse of both mental and physical health. Once you fall into the spiral of loneliness, it becomes increasingly difficult to break free. as the fear of further disappointment overpowers your belief in recovery. Therefore, to stop the onset of this consequence, Doctor Carter recommends recreate moments of connection, even just holding hands, a hug before sleep, or a deep conversation with your partner. Set a goal to maintain intimacy at least once a week so that oxytocin can continue to bring positive energy, dispel anxiety, and push away loneliness. It is this bond that will serve as the first line of defense, protecting you from the dangerous beginnings of aging. Continuing from the mental consequences, we now turn to the second impact, weakened cardiovascular health, a story that doesn't unfold overnight, but gradually erodes heart health over time. First, imagine that every moment of intimacy is a gentle aerobic exercise session. Your heart beats faster. Blood vessels expand to carry blood throughout the body. Blood pressure lowers, and the circulatory system is refreshed after each beat. When you abandon intimacy, you inadvertently rob yourself of this precious exercise opportunity. Instead of being regularly activated, your heart is left to carry the burden of maintaining blood flow through other daily activities, and this cannot compare to the holistic effect that intimacy has. Additionally, science has proven that the release of nitric oxide in the body during intimacy helps dilate the arteries, improving blood flow and reducing pressure on the vessel walls. Without this mechanism, arteries gradually become stiffer, losing the necessary elasticity. Blood pressure will rise incrementally, and do you know that avoiding intimacy after 60 is not just about sex, but a silent blow to your heart, brain, and body? Welcome to Elderly Wisdom Stories, where we provide valuable insights to help you live healthily, stay sharp, and feel confident through your golden years. Today, we will explore why neglecting intimate needs accelerates the aging process, leading to weakened cardiovascular health, fading memory, and a fragile body that is harder to control. Stay tuned until the end of the video to discover the 7 hidden consequences and learn how to restore these connections, the key to protecting your overall health. As soon as we realize that intimacy is not only a romantic moment, but also a lifeline for health, the next step is to listen to the experts who have dedicated their lives to studying this issue. That's why I'm so pleased to introduce Dr. David Carter to you, a specialist in men's health with over 30 years of experience quietly supporting thousands of elderly patients. Not only is Dr. Carter a dedicated physician, but he is also a companion, always ensuring that older adults feel respected, understood, and most importantly, never feel alone on their health journey. He vividly remembers the feeling of confusion when he first stepped into a geriatric clinic as a medical student, seeing the deep wrinkles etched on the foreheads of patients. But what haunted him the most wasn't the age itself, but the sad gaze of men who had once been vibrant and lively, now quietly living in bodies that seemed to have no voice. From then on, Dr. Carter became determined to delve into the connection between sexual health and aging, and his findings have surprised many. He often recounts the story of Mr. Harold, a 74-year-old gentleman who had once been the center of attention in his golf club. But after a few years, Harold became fatigued, less focused, his memory dulled, and eventually had to enter a nursing home because he could no longer care for himself. When Dr. Carter investigated, he discovered that Harold had distanced himself from his wife, thinking that a decline in desire was a natural part of aging. Ironically, this was the turning point that led to a chain of consequences. Harold's heart weakened, his memory faded, and his spirit was constantly clouded with anxiety. Dr. Carter described avoiding intimacy after the age of 60 as a silent poison that destroys every system in the body. It stifles the production of oxytocin, which brings connection, prevents the heart from beating strongly, deprives the brain of necessary stimulation, and leads to mental exhaustion. With this deep understanding, he has continually encouraged his patients to view intimacy as an essential part of self-care, no less important than diet or exercise. Through the valuable insights of Dr. David Carter, we now understand why the leading expert in elderly health tirelessly warns about the dangers of abandoning intimacy. Continuing from the in-depth insights shared by Dr. David Carter, let's now explore the first consequence, one of the most dangerous impacts of abandoning intimacy: increased anxiety and loneliness. First, let's look at the role of oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. Each time we share a warm hug or a gentle caress, the body releases oxytocin, bringing a sense of peace and happiness, creating an invisible thread that connects two souls. But when intimacy gradually fades, this important hormone withers, leaving a gap that cannot be filled just by words. Without oxytocin, anxiety starts to creep into every moment. You may find yourself tossing and turning at night, facing negative thoughts that never occurred to you before. Sometimes it's just a string of what-ifs, a bit of nostalgia for the good times, and then your mind fills with worries. Is there anyone who truly understands me? Does my partner still remember how I feel? This mental pressure not only makes your heart race, but also causes restless sleep, unable to find peace. From here, a sense of loneliness gradually builds up. At first, it's just the quiet evenings without intimacy. Then it becomes meals where you sit alone across from the silent mirror. Over time, you withdraw, avoiding friends and social gatherings for fear of being asked about your personal life. Social encounters become awkward because deep down, you feel that no one truly understands me. A multitude of studies have shown that chronic loneliness and prolonged anxiety are factors that increase the risk of depression while lowering the body's immune system. When mental health declines, the immune system doesn't function as effectively as before, leaving you vulnerable to common illnesses, prolonged colds, or even more severe infections. Moreover, anxiety and loneliness also weaken the cardiovascular system. It's estimated that for every 10% increase in mental stress, the risk of heart disease and stroke also increases accordingly. Additionally, cognitive decline